What is going on, you guys? Well, we actually got the cylinder head back from the machine shop from our engine builder. And I kind of improvised. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of improvised as we were waiting along for that cylinder head. So what I did for the meantime is I actually installed a new water pump, and we got a new tensioner pulley and also an idle pulley for the timing belt. Cleaned up the surface here on the block. We might have to go over it just a little bit, but yeah, just so you guys can see, we have a nice clean surface to work with now. And not just that, we actually installed a few of the ARP exhaust manifold studs on the head, so that's gonna be nice. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and prep up this surface, prep up the surface on the block, and get ready to install this head gasket so we can get this thing back out on the road. All right, let's go. Alright, so as you guys can see, the ARP head studs are pretty much screwed into the block. Now what I'm going to focus on is I'm actually going to prep up the head gasket, and I'm going to give it a light copper spray. And then after that, we're going to put the head on the block. But prior to putting the head on the block, what I'm going to do is there's actually washers that go along with the ARP head stud kit. We're gonna drop the washers in the cylinder head prior to even trying to sit it down on the block. Reason being is because you want to have those centered, and it's kind of a pain in the ass, honestly, to add them after the head's already made it onto the block, because there's certain areas or certain areas where the valve spring kind of interferes in a way. So nevertheless, that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll be back once we're about to drop the head back into the block. Okay, let's go. All right, so the cameraman fell to sleep. Nevertheless, we got the head made it to the block, and like I said, when you drop the head, so you have to make sure these washers are centered, because otherwise you're gonna have a rough time making it sit all the way flush on the block. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is one by one I'm gonna drop each of the nuts, and I'm gonna use a screwdriver, kind of like a pilot, if you will. Drop them into place and then screw them on one by one, and then after that I'm gonna start to torque down the cylinder head. Okay, so let's go. Don't fall asleep next time. All right, that's the last one, and I'm gonna go over them once again off camera. Okay. All right, so we weren't gonna leave this car, well, we weren't gonna put this car back together without leaving it stock again. Okay, so as I mentioned in the past, the valve train has been somewhat upgraded, and I say that because now we're running Evo 8 valves and Evo 8 valve springs. Okay, and we're gonna actually install a set of BC cams 272s. This is 2021, and we're still using BC cams. So anyways, these should complement the valve springs very nicely, and it should give the exhaust a little bit more of a deeper tone, and not to mention that rumble and idle, so it should sound nicer. Nevertheless, this is what we're going to be installing, and no, I don't work for BC or anything like that. It would be nice, BC, if you're listening. um, just kidding. Anyway, so BC cams, we're gonna be installing BC cams on this head, and then after that we're gonna continue the rebuild. Well, not rebuild, but putting this thing back together. Okay, so let's go. What is up, guys? Back at it again. Today is actually another day. Yesterday we were able to make some progress, and actually we installed the cylinder head on the car, and we torqued it down as well. We installed the cams and also the exhaust manifold. We kind of buttoned it up against the head. We still have a long way to go, but I'm thinking possibly there's a big chance that we can fire it up today. It's just a matter of, you know, what we run across, but hopefully I think we got everything we need. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated as I go along today. Jacob is supposed to come by just shortly in a little bit, so yeah, let's have at it. Let's go. All right, so we have the thermostat housing here, the second generation thermostat housing. What we're gonna do was actually gonna replace the thermostat. We might as well do it. We got a new water pump in the system. We might as well change the thermostat, and we're gonna end up changing out the radiator cap as well. But first of all, let's do the thermostat. If you guys never done it before, it actually lives right behind this little housing, if you will. 2 bolts to get it out. I kind of freed them up already, and this is the guy here. Sometimes you might have a rough time trying to remove it because this seal kind of sometimes fuses on the housing. So you can use maybe like a flathead screwdriver to kind of work it, you know. Just be careful with the aluminum. Well, this one actually seems to be aluminum, this thermostat here. I don't know if it's OEM or not. I don't think it is, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and work around the gasket material here, and then I'll be back as soon as I pop it out. All right, don't do this if you're trying to reuse the thermostat, but if you're not, you can definitely, you know, kind of play with it. Make sure these surfaces here are kind of cleaned up. I'm probably gonna go over them with some Scotch-Brite just to remove some of this oxidation here, but nevertheless, yeah, we're gonna prep this for a new thermostat, and I'll be back. All right, so here's our new thermostat, and technically it should come with the seal already in it. Okay, we're gonna install it the same way we got it, which was, this was actually facing towards the outside. Okay, so we're gonna do that. All right, and now we're just gonna put our 2 12mm bolts back on this part of the housing. Okay, and I'm gonna tighten that up. Okay, all right, and the next step is self-explanatory. Just twist off your radiator cap. This one's still okay, but nevertheless, he wanted to replace it. I'm gonna go ahead and replace it with this 16-pound radiator cap from Napa. Okay, take it out of the box. There we are. That's it. And all right, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to focus on this here. We're going to remove some of this old gasket material, and after we remove it, we're going to put some RTV. Okay, and we should be good to install it back on the car. Don't forget, there is an O-ring on the water pipe. We are going to have to install it on the water pipe and put a little bit, like a thin coat of oil. That way this groove here can slide onto it. Once we get to it, you'll see. Okay, so for the O-rings on the water pipe, there's actually one at the water pump and one closest to the thermostat housing on a 2G. Okay, for the 2G water pipe. We're going to be using one of those on the thermostat housing side. So here is what we're using. This is the part number here. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and open up the contents. Like I said, what we want to do is put a thin film of oil around it. Why? Because that way it's a little easier for this guy here to kind of drop into place. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and do that just with a little bit of motor oil. Probably put it on the cap here. Just a little bit. You don't need a whole lot, honestly. That's more than enough, honestly. All right, so what I'm gonna do is just with your finger, kind of dab it, put it across here. You can actually even install this first on the water pipe and then put a thin film, whatever. And then over here. So this O-ring here actually lives in this area, so you kind of have to stretch it out a little bit, and bam, you're done. That's it. All right, so we're going to be using this as a sealant for this housing here. Just go around the lines here that we removed the old material. Go around there, and yeah. Once I apply it all around the housing, I'll come back to you guys. All right, so I was done putting sealant around the thermostat housing here where it's actually going to mate with the head. And sometimes you want to leave it just a little bit out and about till it becomes a little tacky. I think we're actually pretty good. We're good to install it now. So I'm going to go ahead and pretty much put it right next to the head, and yeah, I'm gonna move this radiator hose out of the way first. Okay, so like I mentioned, it should slip onto place just because we put a little bit of oil here, so it should kind of help as far as, you know, dropping this down into place where it should be. So there it is. And now it's just a matter of putting your bolts on and we should be good. All right, so we got the thermostat housing bolted onto the head now, and we wanted to do this first, that way we can give this time to kind of dry. Next I'm going to focus on the cam angle sensor. I'm going to install that, and yeah. Okay, we got the cam angle sensor housing. Now we're gonna install the little the trigger wheel that you bolt onto the cam. So that's next, and I'll be back. Okay, we got that on, and what you guys want to do when installing that, if you never took out the cam angle sensor before, you want to make sure your intake cam is pretty much almost at 90 degrees. And when you install this, because you can actually install it being 180 degrees off. The top portion should be shorter than the lower portion. Okay, the lower portion has to be longer. Just FYI. Okay. Now we're gonna install the gasket and the cover with the 10 millimeter bolts, and that should be pretty much it for the 2GB cam angle sensor install.
Turn it up real good. Looking compact you. Y sabes, son lo que te vas a comer. Puro gourmet.
So this is kind of a rare sighting.
Espérate, güey. Oh, shit, out of my fucking eye.
Oh shit, my bad.
Oh, bitch.
Oh.
Pinche Antonio.
So as you guys can see, most of the stuff has already been installed. For the meantime being, we were actually, well, this guy, the chef, he turned into a mechanic right now. So he's actually installing a downpipe gasket. And then once we're done with that, we'll install the battery. All right, you guys, so we put everything back together and we kind of cranked the car to prime the fuel all the way to the front, just because the car doesn't have DSM link installed on the car yet. Nevertheless, we feel like we have enough fuel to the front now to do the very first initial start after the head gasket job, cam install on the car. So we're gonna go ahead and try it out and see how it goes. Let's go. Yeah. Good.
Cool.
All right, cool. I definitely hear already a subtle difference on the idle. Oh yeah. Sounds good. Are you holding the gas pedal? No, we're good. So it's idling on its own. The motor sounds pretty good. No ticking. So yeah, we're gonna let everything that we touch burned off, top the cooling system, burp the system, and then we're gonna start to give this thing a bath once again. All right, let's go.
What time is it right now?
DSM time. Time to DSM. Okay, so within what, 1 week or so, the car, we took the head out, we took the cylinder head to get worked on, and we got it back and running probably within the course of 1 week. It idles fine. Yeah, actually you don't hear a whole lot of lope going on, but that's probably because this guy runs the stock downpipe, which pretty soon that's going to change. Anyways, the car sounds fine. He's gonna take it out for a few test drives and see how he feels. Hopefully he doesn't put 2,000 miles in 1 week, but but yeah, it's good to go. Anything you want to say to your fans?
Oh, please, Tony.
No? Oh, okay.
No.
All right, so he's a little shy today, so break-in head gasket. What do you think?
Keep going. Ready for the next race.
Oh, I don't know about that, but
It feels good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
cool. Fuck it.
Look, it's miles per gallon.
That's good. All right, fuck it. Well, at least you're satisfied. I'm satisfied. All right, so Jacob is off to the sunset. He's gonna put in more miles. As you guys can see, he's happy. We actually got a little carried away, but nevertheless, it's working, and it's working just fine. It sounds awesome. It sounds good. Hopefully, this thing will last him a good while until we see him back on the channel. Not that I don't, not that I don't want to bring you guys more content of him. No, it's just we like his car to be reliable. Okay. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed part 2 of the head gasket job. Well, actually vent valves. Okay, hopefully you guys enjoyed part 2 of the vent valves on his car due to the the tensioner failing. Nevertheless, sounds good, sounds healthy. I'll probably be sticking around and giving you guys more content as long as you guys keep liking and like subscribing, I guess, if you will. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please drop a like, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, let's go.